Hey guys, welcome back, and today I have for you another set of entitled parent stories, straight from Reddit, fresh as the fallen snow. So, I just want to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed, commented, epic. Thank you so much, I didn't expect this to take off with so many other people doing this sort of thing, but we're 11 subscribers strong. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm grateful for every single one of you, and thank you so much. So today's first story is titled, Entitled Mother Wants to Steal My Birthday Cake. My mother terrifies her kid and her into backing off. So recently I encountered an entitled mother at Waitrose in the UK. This story features me only as a partial spectator and my mum as the victim of the entitled mother, or entitled mother the victim of my mother, in all honesty. Happened over a week ago, but now only got the time to write it. For some context, all of you here in the UK know that there is a fairly pricey grocery store aimed at middle upper class. Me and my parents rarely go into it unless we have a good coupon or want cakes, as their bakery is utterly delicious and not as pricey as everything else. This happened about a week ago, and recently I had my 21st birthday and my parents have decided to order me a whole rainbow cake as my birthday cake for a treat, which only costs around £20, $16. Edit, my bad, not $16 but $26. This cake is always at a high demand and is one of their best sellers, meaning that the only way you're likely to get one is if you order it online or come in really early to the store. You simply place an order and a cake is reserved to you at a date where you can then pick it up and pay at the store. Simple enough, right? I know it comes as a little of childish, but the cake is delicious and I love the colours, so heck with it. So it was the day before my birthday. My parents had driven to town and I came along for the free ride, and at the end of the day, around 5 PM, we headed towards the shop to pick up the cake. By the time we'd gotten into the shop and into the little bakery section, we did not see many people waiting around to be served, but we did see a lot of people who had stopped dead in their tracks to watch a lady. I wanted to say that she had the "I want to speak to your manager" hair, but she didn't really. She looked like most common middle-aged blondes with no identifiable tastes in clothing, tacky and straight up ugly. The most memorable thing was most likely her massive nails and the freaking infinite amount of rings on her fingers. Tacky, fake rings to match her ugly accent that she waved as she yelled at an employee behind the counter. With her, she had a girl who didn't look over 10 or 12. I can't really tell kids' ages anymore in modern times. I heard an audible laugh from my own mother, who then rolled her eyes. It was a busy day. As we got closer, this is the conversation that I could make out. "What do you mean you don't have any rainbow cakes?" she yelled. "I'm sorry, ma'am, we're all out for today. We sold our last daily patch at 2 PM. "Well, go check again, you idiot. I need it. It's for my daughter's birthday. It's a SPECIAL. She elongated words. "Occasion," as if talking to somebody who was challenged. "I'm sorry, ma'am. There's nothing I can do for you. Maybe you could—" "Well, then go make one and make some good use of yourself, you lazy cow," she barked at her. "Ma'am, I can't do that, and even if I wanted to, I couldn't do it. We don't have the time or the ingredients to make it on demand right now." I did not want to drop any judgment on her child until I heard it speak. She began whining and crying, yelling loudly and whining about the situation. The kid was absolutely chaotic. "Mummy, I want my cake. I want it," she screeched like a banshee. Honestly, now that I think about it, I didn't even know humans could make that high-pitched shrill sound that made my back shiver. "This is why this country has gone down the drain, because immigrants like you take up jobs and then start being lazy. Do your job and make yourself useful," she berated her. She had mixed in a lot more racism in her remarks of the woman, going on and on. I didn't understand why, since the woman was pale, pasty white and even spoke perfect English, honestly, better than my own. The child had now started to whine. She was not old enough to be able to look over the counter and bang on it, so she began making noise in the lower half of the counter, continuously making a small banging. My mother had visibly had enough of this and made her way forward and pushed past the entitled mother. She slightly shoved her as my stepfather then also placed himself between the two of them to make some kind of boundary. Excuse me, she tried to protest, but my mother had ignored her, like a bad fart in a big room, knowing that eventually it would pass. Hello, she said with a half smile, as she knew the woman did nothing wrong herself. My parents were also worried that our reserved cake was sold out and that they were also in trouble. I overheard that you sold all the cakes, but we had one reserved and I'm wondering if it's still here, she asked. The employee smiled. Oh, are you Mrs. Yes, I am. It's for my daughter. The woman goes to the back and opens one of the cabinets, and there was a cake there that was reserved by us. The entitled mother almost exploded. Excuse me! You said there were no more cakes available, you effing liar! Ma'am, no more available to sell cakes. This one was reserved to be picked up at 5 p.m. and 2 days ahead. The entitled mother turns to my mother, who is facing the employee. Excuse me, I was here first and my daughter needs her birthday cake. She has been good and I want to treat my little princess, she said. She turns to me and looks appalled, eyes me up and down and waving her branches and tacky jewellery. You're too old for a cake. It's disgusting. This is for a child and her special day. She kept highlighting that she was here first. Are you deaf and stupid? I asked her quite bluntly. We ordered it. At that moment, my mother's head turned in an iron fashion. You know, that moment when someone's body is deathly still and unflinching and only their neck moves to look directly in a direction? Like what owls do? Well, that was what my mother's iron turn and stare had looked like. In the meanwhile, the child was forming a tantrum, taking things and throwing them around the counters across the bakery, picking things out of her mother's cart and then chucking them on the floor. Calmly, my mother asked entitled mother, ignoring the child. Did you pre-order it? No, but... Did you buy it? And I'm stealing it from your hands? You are, but not I did. I'll take that as an uneducated no, she says, as entitled mother's mouth felt somewhat crooked by the looks of it. You need to also teach your child some manners and how to behave in a public space. Are you telling me how to pet? My mother turned to the child and bent down a little when she stopped throwing things and went back to demanding. With a booming and commanding voice, my mother yelled at her in a powerful manner. Shut up, brat! The child shut down immediately. You should have seen her face. No panic or tears, not even a glint of sadness or fear, only a deafening silence. Like a deer in headlights, she looked at my mum in utter, soulless manner. Her face paled as my mother's voice resonated into her. Entitled mother was also shocked and silent. Calmly, my mother turned back to the employee and asked, Will that be £20? With a smile, and the employee simply shook her head and thanked my mother for the purchase and for ordering it online as it made it easier. The woman sets the cake on the counter and entitled mother starts reaching for it. The entitled mother reached out and tries to grab it. Now that I think about it, mumbling something along the lines of, This is insane, in a defensive manner. My stepfather's shoulders rose up to get in her way. I stepped harshly forward, as in the meantime, I shuffled closer to her and my parents. You could hear the muffled sniff of the girl, but she was still and silent. You fat cow, she yelled and stumbled back as I stomped her foot down with all the force I could muster. You stepped on me, she yelled, and I just smiled. Oh, I sure did. Shouldn't have gotten in my way, I said in a condescending way, I suppose. I smiled at her in amusement, and my mother simply picked up the cake and didn't even look at the woman. She turned to start walking away, and entitled mother tried to follow, but her limp made it hard, and she simply gave up. I could still hear the complaining about this behind us, but her child? Not another word. The cake was delicious, and this made it even sweeter. I mean, when a bakery has a freaking deadline for when you can order a cake by, you can't just expect to waltz in and demand a cake. No. But, you know, how dare? How dare the bakery hide a cake from this woman? Oh, you know, telling her there's no more left for sale, and then they pull one out and give it to somebody else. The criminy. But seriously, you know, the entitled mother was way out of line, just expecting a cake to be there for her to pick up without, you know, pre-ordering or any of that business. Next we have entitled Dad feels entitled to my money. This happened last year in June, but honestly, just thinking about it still gets me angry. I'm on my cell, so sorry for any typos, and this is a long one. For a little background, I should let you know that my mum and stepdad have been together since I was in the 3rd grade. He's always been a bit of a jerk, but I've always respected that he helped take care of me and my sister growing up. When I turned 18, my mum helped me set up a bank account that was joined to hers and my stepdad so they could help me out with money when I was in college. They'd helped out by sending around $50 a month during my freshman year. Later, as I grew up, I'm 36 now, I left the account joined so that it'd be easier for my mum to borrow money from me when she needed it. She would just ask to borrow X amount, then I would okay her to get it out of my account. Okay, it's time for the story. The cast. Me is me, M is mum, ED is stepdad, and B, little brother, and S, little sister. Oh, sorry, just sister. So, I'm in a 3-day training. I booked into a hotel room and planned to pay the bill when I checked in. During the lunch break of the training, I get to settle the tab for the hotel. This is a big purchase for me, so I typically like to check my balance before my card is swiped. So I call the bank and it says I only have around $92 in my account. I am floored. That can't be right. I only got paid a week ago. So I get out my phone and see what's going on in my account. There are multiple transactions that say internet debit transfer that I didn't recognise. About $500 total, $100 at a time in the last week. At first I think my account must have been hacked, so I call the bank. The kind customer service woman states, "Miss, this is from the other account holders. There has been no fraud." I am in shock. Mother wouldn't do that to me without asking. I'm honestly feeling betrayed. I would do anything for my mother, and it hurts to think that she would take from me when I just give it to her. I had to sit in training feeling really angry and hurt. When it was over for the day, I rushed to the bank to have them print out the last 6 months worth of transactions. Reading them only makes things worse. This had been happening since January, starting with $20 here and there and then building up to hundreds at a time. I know this makes me sound stupid, but I've been noticing financial issues but chalked it up to overspending. And I put myself on a budget to try and correct the behaviour and find out where my money was going. I honestly never thought my parents would take it, so never really checked my statements over. As I look over my account, I start to think about the last time my parents visited. Mum is pretty much computer illiterate. She calls for help with the simplest things and tends to be very old school. She still writes checks. But during the visit, my entitled dad was bragging about how he'd been working on the computer and he's doing all their banking online now. Mother even joked about it not being a good thing because he can see how she spends their money now. At the time, I just thought it was cool that he was learning new things to make their life easier. After remembering that, everything just clicked. I just knew it was him. I called Mother to talk to her about it, letting her know she needed to see if the accounts listed were hers. Find out one was their savings account and the other my little brother's account. Mother tries to blame my brother at first, saying it must have been a Cash App glitch. I have never Cash Apped him, by the way, so no way has he got access to my account. I call sister and brother just to see if I'm tripping, and they both let me know some things about entitled dad. Apparently, he's been overspending his and mum's money on MLM schemes. My sister notes that mother has had to borrow money from her just to get by with rent and groceries. Brother states that he does not use his account and has opened up a secret one because entitled dad always takes his money, saying that he's not responsible enough to manage his paycheck, but spends it all. I figure if he'll do this to his son, he'd do it to me. When all is said and done, my mother too realises that it was entitled dad. He would see when I got paid due to my account being attached to theirs. He would transfer over money and then immediately go to the bank and draw it out. He and my brother have the same first and last name, plus my brother is a minor, so it's easy for him to get into the account. Mother says there were times when brother was in school. She says the signature also looked like entitled dad's. I closed my accounts and let Mum know that he took around $2,700 over a 6-month period. He still denies it, saying brother is trying to set him up. Brother works and knows that he can ask me for anything. Unfortunately, the bank says because they're on the account, they have the right to my money. Mum is slowly paying me back, but I don't know if I can trust them anymore. Apparently, entitled dad feels entitled to mine and everyone else's money to feed his stupid get-rich-quick schemes. Like, okay, you know, to a point, yes, you know. I'm not defending the entitled dad, but, you know, maybe when you left college, maybe, just maybe, you should have had the forethought to just get your own bank account and have your own money set aside. I mean, you know, I honestly would have checked when money started, like when I started realising that I had no money, or that I, you know, it looked like I was possibly overspending. I would have gone straight to the bank and asked them for the transaction printout, purely because I would have wanted to be curious to see where, like, you know, my money's going. But at the same time, you know, how can this stepfather think that he is entitled to take other people's money? I mean, yeah, okay, but he's the account holder along with the mother and the OP, so he probably thinks, well, that's perfectly fine. It's a, you know, it's a joint account. I'm allowed to take what I want from it. But at the same time, you know, I don't know, that would make me pretty angry, if I'm honest, if I realised that I was being robbed by my own family. But at the same time, I'd then feel incredibly stupid for having a joint account that they had access to. I mean, I don't know, it just seems a bit sort of, I don't know, you kind of set yourself up for failure, but at least you know what's going on now and you've got your separate bank account, so it won't happen anymore. And, you know, your poor mother's having to pay it back. I mean, that's the worst part. Like, he's denying it and trying to blame the sibling, and, it's just, it's a mess. It's a mess. So this next story is entitled, Entitled Parent Gets Caught Cutting the Line, Tries to Guilt Other Children and Makes Their Own Kid Cry. Okay. And it starts with a note. It's a bit long, and I signed up to Reddit, waited my 4 days and collected my karma so I can post this story because I've been reading r/entitled parents for a long time as a guest and wanted to contribute. I used to work at a street food truck. It was quite well visited as our fries had a good reputation. It had very limited space and therefore not a lot of staff. Due to that, the orders would often pile up, so we had a ticket system where the customer got a receipt and the preparation team got a copy of it, which got put on a board in the chronological order so the person who ordered first would get their meal first too. Our menu wasn't really diverse, so it would often occur that people would order the same thing. To avoid any confusion, we had the same exact time at which the order was made on the ticket so no one could claim they were there first. The system usually worked very well as most people were able to queue in a well-mannered way. One lovely sunny day and the queue was very long due to a sporting event in a park nearby. This state had a mandatory sports test for school children. If you managed to pass a certain score, you'd get a gold medal, which is quite achievable, though, since schools mainly do such events to motivate children for sports. Entitled Parent and her son had taken part in it as well. It was already apparent that issues were going to arise when the entitled parent didn't want to understand that she'd have to queue for the food again after having to queue to order. She apparently thought that we already knew what she wanted and prepared it ahead of time before she placed her order so she could get her food right away. She made outrageous demands to my co-worker at the cash register, which included turning up the heat of the fryers. The oil that we use breaks down at a certain temperature and can release toxins, which is why it's crucial for us to keep the temperature steady, and other things which proved she had no idea how things worked. In the end, she tried to cut the line for the order. I was very involved and focused on preparing the food, so I didn't take notice of such things. But when I went to hand out the orders and she asked for her receipt, I noticed that she'd ordered something else. Following conversation occurred. "Excuse me, missus, I don't think this is your order. Please be patient and wait for your order to arrive. My son is really hungry and he deserves a treat, as he did really well in each event and even got a gold medal." "Well done, congratulations to him then. I'll still have to ask you to wait a bit. Most of the other customers came from the same event and might be just as hungry." "My son did really well though." "Well, that's great. I'll prepare your dish once I get to it. Please let me continue my work so I can prepare it for you as soon as possible." She stopped talking after that and let me give the order to the correct customer. When I came with the next order, it happened to be the same thing she had ordered. 2 servings of fries, not that uncommon. She was ready to take it and I checked her receipt. Once again, I'm sorry, this is not your order. But I ordered this, 2 servings of fries. But I understand that this is a common thing to order and others have also ordered before you. I have ordered it first. I've been waiting for half an hour and not gotten any food yet. After checking her receipt again, please have a look here, missus. It states the time right here and it doesn't match the time of the order I'm giving out right now. Please have a little patience and you'll receive your order in a couple of minutes. My son is so hungry. He's already feeling dizzy and faint. I'm sure you don't want to be responsible for this. Her son looked completely fine. Maybe you could kindly ask the other customers if they could let you go first, but I have to stick to the correct order to avoid any confusion. Besides, in the time we've been discussing this, I would have finished the orders anyway, so please let me continue my work so we can limit any delays. Fine. I go back to preparing the orders when I hear a fight. Apparently, the lady tried to convince 2 schoolboys into trading their ticket with her so she could get her order sooner. They refused and she tried to make them feel guilty and pressure them into trading the tickets. Their parents were nearby and were not having it and started to talk back to entitled parent. Entitled parent's kid was friends with the schoolboys and crying from the embarrassment. The schoolboys were also crying. Note, all of them were around 1st or 2nd grade, so rather young. Since there was only one other customer in front of the 2 schoolboys, they asked me to prepare their order first so they could get out of here. I did as asked and gave the fries to the 2 schoolboys. EP, or entitled parent, was not happy. Excuse me? Are you trying to mess with me? This was my order and you let them go first? I decided to ignore her at this point, since I was really behind on orders because of her drama. My co-worker at the cash register tried to calm her down while I was preparing the other orders. I didn't hear the conversation, but she must have remained as rude, since my co-worker informed me that she denied service to the lady and gave her money back for her serving of fries, making it only 1 serving for the kid, since clearly we didn't want to punish an innocent sportsman for having a bad mother. I finally get to their order and make just the 1 serving. Where's the second one? My co-worker informed me that it got cancelled and you received your money back for it. You must have misunderstood. I got the money back as a compensation for your bad treatment towards me and wasting my time. So I get 2 servings, one of which is free. My co-worker told me she denied your order. Denied you our service due to your rude behaviour. Please take your son's fries and buy yourself something somewhere else. She takes the fries in the end and gives me a fake smile and holds eye contact with me. To her son, and this is why you have to pay attention in school, so you don't end up being an idiot in a dead-end job. Me, smiling back, or maybe you shouldn't pay attention in school, so you won't get to a point where you have to work with rude customers to pay for university like I do. The end. I mean, a little bit justice there at the end. I absolutely hate when someone doesn't get their own way and they use your employment as a way to try and shame you. Like in England, just as an example, years ago, being a refuse collector or dustbin man was a shame job. Like, you know, if you had a job like that, you clearly didn't finish high school. You clearly didn't get any grades, you know. It was that type of job. But it's funny because refuse guys or bin men actually get paid a decent wage to do their job. Like, they get like £2 or £3 more than national minimum wage, depending on, you know, how long they've been there and stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. And people are like, oh, see, this is what happens when you don't go to school, blah, blah, blah. You know, it does happen with in customer service, in retail, in like refuse collection. You know, parents will always use it as a way to like shame the cashier because they can't get their own way, and man, it winds me up. Makes me crazy. So this last story is entitled Mother Screams at Me for Buying Condoms in the Dollar Store. I was buying glasses lens wipes. Honestly, I can't even cast me, Panda Hat Girl, EM, entitled parent. EK, kid who was on the phone the whole time. Here's the scene. I'm standing in line at my local dollar store, holding a pack of glasses, lens wipes and a small makeup palette. The entitled mother and entitled kid got in line behind me. I feel a tap on my shoulder and begin. Excuse me? He turns around. Yes? How dare you buy condoms in front of my child? Me is confused because I don't know what she's talking about. I look down and see the wipe in my hand and notice that it did look like a box of condoms. You of all people shouldn't have sex, much less a boyfriend. Me decides to be evil. How dare you assume I'm into guys? I'm not a lesbian, just kind of wanted to see what would happen. That's disgusting! Grabs the box away from me. You should be ashamed of yourself. Looks at the box and goes pale. Waits a moment. Can I have my glasses wiped back? Entitled mother gives it back and leaves with her kid, not buying her stuff. Entitled kid, Mom, what about my stuff? Already writing this out in my head to post on Reddit later. I'm still laughing that she didn't figure out that if I had a girlfriend, I wouldn't need condoms. But who would buy dollar store condoms anyway? I mean, it's a point. Who would? I mean, I'm not saying that, like, obviously I don't live in America, so I don't know how good dollar store stuff is, but, you know, I personally wouldn't buy condoms from anywhere that was like Poundland or Pound Stretcher or the 99p store, which I don't think even exists anymore. I mean, that's a disaster waiting to happen. Usually, stuff that ends up in, like, pound shops is usually either overstock that has been bought from another store, sometimes faulty goods. Yep, sometimes faulty goods. Stuff that generally breaks easily. Food that's near its expiration date. So quite honestly, no. Who would want to buy condoms from a dollar store? Because, you know, if it's like it is over here, I wouldn't want to trust it. Who knows whether it's faulty, near its expiry date, or, you know, generally, you know, already perforated or has got some other thing wrong with it. I mean, that's a disaster waiting to happen. And entitled mother, if the entitled mother ever reads this, because sometimes entitled parents do come and see these posts and they get upset, I'll give you one bit of advice, entitled mother. You should have gone to Specsavers. So that's it. Thank you for joining me today for this episode of Entitled Parents. I hope you enjoyed the stories that I brought forward for you today. They were fresh off of Reddit Press when I found them earlier today. I don't know if this video is going up today or not, but as of the 14th of April, the subjects in the video were relatively new. They were posted on that day. So yes, thank you so much for watching my video and listening to me do my screechy entitled parent voice. And just for a bit of fun, pop down below your most entitled parent impression. I do actually like reading them. Some of them actually make me laugh so much. And I've got Twitter. It'll be in the bio below if you guys want to follow me there. I'm not saying you have to. But yes, please like, comment and subscribe and let me know what other r/subjects you'd like me to cover from Reddit, because there are so many. Sorry, I keep coughing. I've got a really bad throat today for some reason. But yes, all that aside, thank you for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Stay smart.